I lifted my hand to my face and felt at the stinging sensation. I was in shock for a moment as I looked back at the faces of the two girls. Maine was standing though with a surprised look, and Hina looked furious. No, it was something else. I saw tears welling in the corners of her eyes. It was disappointment. But why? It wasn't like I'd done anything to deserve this. Then she turned on her heels and marched out the door. Hey! Maine called after her, and then looked back at me, then went back to chasing Hina out the door. As I looked around the room I could see the people staring, so I also decided to leave. I could hear the shouting voice of Hina, who was probably venting to Maine. You heard what he said, right? He said it's his fault, and I know you've heard the rumors too. That's what this was about. She was probably more upset about the show's cancellation than I had originally thought. She could probably find new parts pretty easily with her talent, but maybe she was more invested in this project than I had realized. I decided to exit out the opposite staircase on the floor and went down the stairs. When I reached the lobby I saw a familiar face wearing shades, in a black suit, white shirt, open collar, and with no tie. The lanky man that stood before me was my agent, Hyasu Higuchi. Tapping his finger on the front desk, I assumed he was trying to chat up the receptionist again. Boyfriend? So what? Now you'll have to. He glanced in my direction and noticed me, then handed the girl a card. Give it a thought. I assumed he winked at her, but it was hard to tell what was going on behind those shades. Yo, my man. I was just coming to check up on ya. Looks more like you were checking up on something else. I glanced in the direction of the receptionist as we walked to the exit. You know what they say, always got to keep an eye open for new. He glanced back, talent. Speaking of keeping an eye open, you found any new jobs for me? Actually, that's what I wanted to talk to you about, he said, looking away. Where are you headed? Home, I replied. All right, hop in. I'll give you a lift. I looked at the black car that sat curbside. It was definitely expensive. Far more than the average salaryman would be able to afford. He clicked a button on his keyring and the car lights lit up. Going around to my side, I opened the door to see a white gift bag sitting in the passenger seat. That's for you, by the way. Those are the new DVD and Blu-ray box sets that just came out. I looked in the bag to see the 2 large stacks as he took off. You should be proud. 4 whole seasons. Some shows only get 1 or 2, you know? He grinned. So, you were saying about my new job? Yeah, well, it also has to do with the rumors that have been going around lately as well. I could hear the graveness in his voice as he swerved between the traffic. It involved you and a producer. Not just that, but a girl too. I looked at him, wide-eyed. So, you know? All I know is at an after-party you took off, and then came back in the room with a girl whose clothes were looking pretty messed up. And the next thing anyone knows is one of the producers was real pissed at you about something. People are saying you took advantage of one of the producer's daughters. My jaw dropped. W8, you don't think I would? You didn't? He raised an eyebrow skeptically while glancing in my direction. No, of course not. Nothing like that happened. It's not just that, he paused. Someone saw you with that girl while she was crying in the hallway, and you were trying to calm her down, and well, you know how people talk when things like that happen. It tends to spread pretty fast. Once again for today I was in shock. You're not in the little leagues anymore. Celebrities have all kinds of things thrown at them this way and that. Look at those idol groups, they can't even fart in the wrong direction or it'll be career-ending. What are you saying? I asked nervously. I'm saying whatever happened was a pretty big deal. Even when I made calls, no one wanted to touch you with a 10-foot pole. It's like they're trying to freeze you out. He turned his head to not meet my eyesight. You're saying I've been blacklisted? Well, yeah. Seems like you really pissed off someone you shouldn't have, or I don't know why anyone would bother throwing their weight around with this. I wanted to tell him, But without proof it would just be useless, and it wasn't like there was any reason to trust my word over an executive who ran a company. Even if it were brought up, it would be immediately laughed out the room and ruin his career as well. And then I remembered the sound of Hina yelling. I could still feel a faint tingle from the slap. She wasn't very strong, but the force was enough to show just how angry she really was. Once again for today I was in shock. That's what she thought? She thought I did that to that girl too? And if I told her, what if she made a big deal out of it? Her career would also be ruined because of me. I could feel my heart sink. I didn't know where to turn my head, so I just continued to stare down at nothing in particular. I see, I said. You might still just be a TV actor on a small show, but eyes are always watching. Once you get a little fame you gotta be careful about that kind of thing. Yeah, I replied. Right now, I think it's best to just take a wait and see approach. Maybe in a while something will clear up and I'll be able to find you something. The car pulled up in front my building and I got out. He rolled down the window. Just try to take it easy for a while. Sorry, he said, looking away. Then he rolled up the window and took off. When I entered my apartment I let the door close behind me and found myself just standing there. Why? Why did this have to happen? I worked so hard. I did my best. Did I really do the right thing? If I did, then none of this would be happening right now, would it? I continued to clench, and unclench my fist, until I realized I was still holding the bag. I opened it to see the cover of the box sets. There I was, with my friends from the show. The princess, Hina looking off in the distance, Main dressed as a royal knight, and myself brandishing a sword. I gripped the box tightly in my hand and then whipped it at a wall before sinking to the floor. Before I knew it, it was night, and I felt my stomach rumbling. Looking for my phone, I was about to decide what I wanted to order for takeout when I thought it would be better to get some air. I began walking through the well-lit streets before coming across a convenience store. Ding dong. The sound of the charm bell rang as the doors slid open. I scanned my surroundings. It had been a while since I'd been in one. Nowadays I normally had things ordered. I headed to the snacks and searched for chips, then went over to the bentos. As I passed the aisles I saw the cover of a magazine off in the corner. There was a photo from the show with "cancelled" written in big letters. I could feel myself scowl at the sight of it. I then felt my eyes being drawn to the drinks. The beer seemed like a really good choice and so I got some. I plopped it on the counter and the cashier began ringing me up. Okay, that'll be, he paused. Hey, you're... I rubbed the back of my neck and let out a forced smile. Yep. I love your show. Thanks, I replied curtly. Is it true it's over? Afraid so, I said, still trying to hold my look. Ah, man, that's too bad. The cashier looked down at my purchases. So, you're having a party? Something like that. I let out a fake chuckle. Ding dong. I stepped out into the street. The night air was cool against my skin, but I felt like I could feel my blood rising. I hated it. I hated all of this.